See if I can get this right. Hello, this is going to be a quick spoiler-free review and theory Owl House video focusing on the latest episode Agony of a Witch and theories on what will happen next. Now to preface, I'm working on a big video on the Owl House, so this video is going to be less edited and not as high quality since I'm putting most of my effort into that big video, so if you don't like the editing or it bores you a bit, just bear with me, okay? So this episode, right from the get-go, is no holds barred my favorite out of all the currently released Owl House episodes. Yes, I enjoyed this more than Grom, which is pretty crazy considering how good Grom is as an episode and how it basically skyrocketed the show to a more mainstream audience. And this episode did the exact same thing, and I would argue even more. Without getting into too much spoilers, this episode single-handedly changed the trajectory of the show. It feels like the status quo or just the normality that we're accustomed to of Ida, King, and Luz having adventures on the bowling house seems to change, and it doesn't look like it'll ever be the same again, not without some consequence or even a sacrifice. But I digress. This episode stuns me with fantastic visuals, answers to previously asked questions, and even more. This episode also introduces us to Emperor Bellows, and without getting too much into it, he doesn't seem like your typical villain. Rather, he seems much more benevolent and actually quite scary, which is a rarity in most shows that are actually airing on TV right now. The animation in this episode is also a cut above, with incredible imagery and all-around spectacle. The world in this episode feels humongous, and that's a great thing. Though I've said many positives, that doesn't mean that I can't find negatives in this episode, and I think pointing out some flaws would be very helpful when discussing this show since it's kind of a circle jerk right now in the fandom, so let's get into it. And I'm not trying to make fun of the fandom, I'm just saying that there's not a lot of constructive criticism. Most criticism thrown at the show is very one-sided, or stupid, or not very well thought out, or there's just no criticism at all, so enough with this little rant, just get into it. Like I said previously, this episode seemingly changed the trajectory of the show, and while this episode was done excellently, the build-up and setup was rather weak or non-existent. If I were to compare it to anything, it'd be most similar to Adventure Time's Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil episodes, where, seemingly without warning, the show just switches gears and completely changes its tone, its atmosphere, and hell, even its animation and art style change a little bit. And that's pretty crazy, and not in a very good way. And while the Owl House didn't fully go there, it definitely hits some of those marks, and while I love both Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil episodes, I can acknowledge that dumping all of your unanswered questions and lore into only 2 episodes is not necessarily bad writing, but it's a bit too much, it's overwhelming. In my opinion, I feel like some of the King episodes and some of the B plots from previous episodes should have been contributed to the build-up of this episode and the next one too, to have a much more satisfying finale. That's basically it for my general review. It's a solid 10 out of 10 episode with an incredible action scene towards the end, a lot of emotion, and even more questions to be answered in the season finale and in season 2. Hopefully they don't pull a Steven Universe or Star Versus. If you've watched both of those shows, you know what I mean and what I'm talking about. If you didn't, or if you did and you actually liked those shows, then I don't really know what to tell you. Well, enough with the review, now it's time for some theories on what might happen in season 2. I'll go from the most plausible to the least plausible, and you decide which one you feel like might actually happen. Okay, here we go. This also might get to spoilers, so like, if you haven't seen the episode yet, then don't watch this segment. Theory 1, Luz, Willow, and Gus team up to save Ida and possibly King, judging by some sneak peek images that have been released on the internet and Twitter. This is probably what's going to happen and might lead to some new developments for Willow and Gus, like betraying Bellows' coven system and being seen as traitors, becoming like Ida, not cursed, but just wanted by the Emperor, and that could play into the season premiere or even mid-season conflict in season 2. Theory 2, it's a solo Luz rescue mission where she feels like it's her fault for getting Ida caught, so in a desperate attempt to save her, she tries to rescue her by herself, and midway in the episode where hope seems lost, Willow, Gus, and maybe even Amity come to her rescue, but don't succeed in saving Ida, but create a plan to save her in the second season, either in the premiere or, if they really want to drag it that far, the season 2 finale. Now, Theory 3 consists of Luz and Amity teaming up for an episode, using Amity's status as a blight to infiltrate the castle, and it basically plays out like Theory 2, except it's only Amity and Luz, and there could be conflict where Luz feels like she forced Amity to come along, but they have a heart-to-heart talk and deepen their relationship further. Now, I think this is pretty unlikely in my opinion, since we literally had a lot of Luz and Amity episodes lately, and I think the show writers know this, so they're probably going to skimp out on this and maybe utilize Amity in the second season premiere. Now, Theory 4, yeah, this one's going to get heads turning. Hootie, distraught by Ida's disappearance, or maybe Ida programming a failsafe into Hootie, makes him grow his legs back. and becomes super powerful, taking Lucent King to the castle, prompting a balls to the walls rescue mission. Yeah, this one sounds crazy, and it's probably not gonna happen since from the teaser released about a month ago, it looked more like a secret infiltration than a full-on battle. Well, that's all I got. Thanks for watching the video. It's rather short, but I wanted to release a video before the season finale since, well, school's about to start, and I don't want to go to school. Anyway, thank you and have a good day, afternoon, or night, or wherever you are. I don't really care. So, yeah, see ya. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to keep this review more general and not go into depth. If you want to go into depth, you can check out Rebecca Rose's review on this episode. I'll probably link it in the description if you're interested into a more in-depth video. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this type of content. It's my first time editing something like this, so I had fun. So I'll probably do more in the future. See ya.